Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge, where the rebel in the White House decided, you know what? They're not going to get away with this. And so he started bombing as soon as the markets closed last night. We went down about 1% because of that. But then we started climbing our way back. And then tragedy struck, as Rosanna Dana would say. And we've got the 411 on that on today's Rebel's Edge. All righty.
Oh, he's got it. All right. It's official.
Official.
I'll tell you what, John, we have had some of the wildest runs in the market of recent that I've seen in a long time from a sheer size perspective, especially more so the NASDAQ than anything. I mean, and we've seen it a couple of times now where that thing just gets slaughtered, but then it doesn't quite stay down there very long either. It starts coming back at least a little bit. So we'll see.
I mean, last night, Pete, when we started bombing, even though it was very strategic, it was a tit for tat, as the president said, for shooting down our helicopter that was not shooting at anything. But we're down about 1.25% last night. We got all the way back into the green today, and then it fell again because Trump said, I don't think those guys want to negotiate anymore. Maybe they don't. So let's just end it. Let's just go in there and freaking end it. But I'm not the military strategist, Pete. So I admit that. I thank the brave men and women who are over there doing their thing. And Godspeed, let's get this thing done. Yeah. If they don't want to negotiate, then let's not drag it on. Let's get it done. But anyway, that's just a civilian view of it. As far as what's going on in the markets today, Pete, with this, we're back to last night, right after the president started bombing. We're down 1.25%. Really? Is that what we're so worried about? And inflation, it's not as strong as people thought. They were looking for as much as 0.5% month over month, Pete, or 4.4% year over year. It came in at 4.2, and core inflation was 0.2. So we're not exactly like seeing inflation in the products that Americans buy by a lot. And that's with airfares up, 40 basis points year over year and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, what do you got, Pete? Anything for macro?
Yeah, I think that the ripple effect of what we're talking about here, when we talk about inflation, heck, we could point our finger at one thing: price of oil. And, it's been up, it's been down, it's been, all around. And today it's back up a little bit. And I think that's something that people are definitely talking about. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at the energy and the, what it accounts for in terms of the inflation, because it isn't just gasoline. It also goes to all the other different areas of the marketplace, including what you just talked about, the airlines, jet fuel. I mean, the cost there. So, one of these days, I think we're going to see the price of oil start to really get down even further. But it's going to take that, I think, then that will be a huge influence on bringing down inflation, just because I think it's such a big, huge part of this whole thing is crude oil. It just is. And because of what
I have a pretty good idea what might be happening to the VIX, which almost broke back under 20 this morning early, Pete, and then bounced when the president says, I don't think they want to negotiate anymore. So there it is. It made that dip this morning and then briefly broke 20 and then went right back to work, Pete.
Yep, and it's hanging around there, John. Call it 20 to 21. Yes, we've been up to 22. There's no doubt about that. Actually, in the pre-market, we hit 22.50. So, a lot of people talking about that. With crude up today, you can understand why you're seeing the VIX up as well. I think that to some degree that they are moving. So it'll be interesting. Can we break back under 20? Are we going to sustain over 20? Those are the questions probably being asked. I would say that barring something odd that could happen, I could see that we could break right back down underneath 20 and sustain it underneath 20, actually, back to where we were in the 18s. But it'll take a few things to happen for that to get back to those levels.
Well, then we've got a prediction market, Pete, for the World Cup. Now, I could have put the Knicks versus Spurs, which is like 63 to 40 something in favor of the Knickerbockers. But instead, I put up the prediction market for the World Cup. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting because when you look at the World Cup and how it might be the biggest betting event, it's not a single event, though. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you know, they have all these different flights or whatever you want to call them, and you got to work your way through. And then finally, at some point, there's a winner. And the winner will be declared after all of that other stuff is basically messed with. Mm-hmm. But right now, Spain is one of the favorites, and it's Spain and France. They're both about 16 or 17%, Pete, because everybody who's in it has a chance. Yes. But about 1.9 billion have been wagered so far on Polymarket. Mm-hmm. But they're anticipating that this could be a $50 billion handle. And this isn't done until July sometime, folks. So you can understand how this could build to that, because there it is on the bottom, right next to the 1.9 billion that I wrote in there, July 20th. So Pete, we're here the 10th of June. So you imagine if there were college football playoffs or NFL playoffs that lasted that long, and it was, okay, how much is going to be wagered on this? Well, okay, 50 billion over, you know, basically 40 days, 50 days. I mean, okay, but I understand it is a global event, and we just thought we'd highlight it for you where it is right now, June 10th.
It could be amazing, though, John, and the idea that it gets 50 sounds ridiculous, right? That's crazy. Who could possibly get to $50 billion? Well, because what you just said at the very end there, this is something that's global. This is not just like with our Super Bowl. Yeah, people around the world are going to watch it. They're going to look at this and that. But it's, you know, very much just a U.S. type of a thing, let's be honest, even though that they're trying to stretch out to the rest of the world. But these guys, on the other hand, pretty much everybody plays soccer, right? I mean, they just do. So the idea that this could morph into something a lot bigger, 50 still seems kind of crazy, but I could see this number getting into some pretty high digits, 20 billion, 30 billion. Yeah, I could see that happening. We got a full month, more than a month for this to happen. So sure, yeah. I could see that happening.
Well, and of course, just like the stock market, folks, 1.9 billion has been bet on Polymarket so far. Probably some pretty good numbers over there at Kalshi as well, Pete. And they're not the only prediction exchanges. But then you look at DraftKings. Aren't they going to get a lot of those bets too? Yeah. They're up about, what, 5% today, Pete? You know, you're going to see DraftKings and a number of the regular betting sites, MGM and so forth, get a bigger handle than Polymarket and Kalshi get. But it is nice to be able to trade in and out of these things and so forth. And that's part of the magic of these prediction exchanges, because you could take it right now at 17%. And if all of a sudden Spain gets on a run, you could take it off well before the 4th of July and maybe double your, go from 17% to 35. Sold. Yeah. And get back out. So that kind of stuff does happen. Yeah. All right. SpaceX and space-related stocks. Pete, we got 3 days. Today, tomorrow, Friday, it comes out. Mm-hmm. So according to a company called Vanda Research, they say that the buying of space stocks is at the highest level since December 2024. Mm-hmm. And a number of them that you and I have talked about, Iridium, IRDM, those are the cell phones, but basically they have that long stick because they're talking to the satellites directly. Intuitive Machines, which is Lunar, LUNR, Planet Labs, PL, all of these have been bought aggressively. Some of them, like Rocket Lab, have had pretty spectacular sell-offs as well, right, Pete?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, It is interesting, John, just how much this is affecting the entire markets. This is something I talked about yesterday. I got an opportunity to talk about what was going to go on. How does this IPO look to me? And I'll throw this one back to you a little bit. Does this give you a little reminder, John, of the days of Facebook when everybody had to have it? Oh, man, they got to have it. And then all of a sudden, as we got very close and the day of, all of a sudden, you and I were both getting calls because we were involved with the group that was bringing it out, Morgan Stanley. And they were like, hey, do you want another 10,000? You know, another 20,000? And it's like, whoa, crap. If they're giving us that and there was no way to get anything more, and all of a sudden it opens up that they were able to get more, that made it pretty interesting to me and you that, hey, this looks like it ain't going to go so well. And that was exactly what the IPO found out with Facebook. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's a possibility because this has been talked about for how long? And $1.7 trillion has been talked about for how long? So that's always a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't even think that necessarily it's going to happen. But as people have been clearing the decks and trying to get as much money as they can in their portfolio to try to get involved in this whole thing, there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening, I think, come Friday.
Yeah, that's a fact. And we'll have a whole section on this tomorrow, Pete, on the show. But right now, there's 250 billion bid for, according to the various tracking like FactSet and Bloomberg and things like that. And there's only 75 billion offered. So it's 4 times oversubscribed. Now, could those bids cancel? Are they only good up until like an opening only bid to 140? It's pricing at 135. Does it blow past that because they've got so much offered? We'll have insights into that for you guys tomorrow and about how quickly the options will be listed and so forth. It'll pretty much be a SpaceX show, I guess. All right, Pete, what about your favorite place to go to Sunday brunch, the Cracker Barrel? Pete just loves the Cracker Barrel. And this one, finally, after they rearranged some of their marketing people, meaning they got rid of them. You remember they changed the old guy in the rocking chair, Pete?
Yeah.
And they thought that was like a big deal to get rid of that guy. And people said, well, I ain't going anymore if they don't have that. Again, that's not me, but people were not happy with that. Well, it's up 28% today and on some pretty decent blowout kind of earnings, Pete. Look at that moonshot that Jared just put up on the screen.
Yeah, pretty impressive, John. I mean, when you look at this one, it's been as high as $48 today. And if you look at the volumes, you can see them at the very bottom. You look at the volumes, John, it was a 4X in the first hour of of trade. And the big thing, and, you know, a lot of things went well in terms of what we were looking at. You know, they were looking at the beats and the raise and everything else, right? The one thing that we talk about all the time, though, is, hey, how big is the short interest here? Well, it's about 40% or 27, excuse me, it's 27% on the float. So the stock is up 40% for the week because it was already starting to go up. And, you know, you take a look over at the shorts and you go, well, 27% of the float. Wow, that's kind of scary. You want to talk about a short squeeze? Our guy, Jeff Garbaz, would be talking about this one because they are getting squeezed, those shorts, and that's why this thing has been up even more than 27% today.
Yeah, well, Pete, average full session volume is 1 million shares. It's touching 6 million shares already today.
Not bad.
So, yeah, a lot of pain for those folks that are chasing it up to 48.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about one that they're chasing down, Super Microcomputer. The numbers seemed like they were all good, Pete, except for they're going to be spending an awful lot of money on CapEx and an ATM, which is known as an at-the-money offering program for the stock, meaning that they're going to offer more shares, which means dilution, folks. I mean, I think most of you listening know what that means. If you're all of a sudden adding shares to the market, supply and demand. and you're increasing the supply without increasing the demand, prices go down.
Yeah.
And that's generally what's happening in super micro today.
Yeah, they're trying to do this raise, if you want to call it that, or however you want to. But we're talking billions of dollars, and why is that, John? Because they got to do something with the AI servers. They've got to do this. They've got to do that, and they're trying to collect themselves as much as they can. Here's my take. Forget about the name right now, Super Micro. Get out of that one. But how about the idea of taking a look maybe at Hewlett Packard, HPE, or Dell, or somebody else in the server world? Because they are going to be getting orders, and those orders are going to be big orders. So it's kind of like what you and I talk about all the time, John, when we talk about, well, who's part of this whole thing? Who's bringing the IPO out? Well, when you look at the IPOs for those space-related names, it doesn't take long to look past and say, well, Goldman Sachs is a part of a lot of these. Morgan Stanley is a part of a lot of these. And even, Citi's a part of this one, and U.S. Bank is a part of this one. So there are some in the investment banking side that are going to be doing very, very well in a lot of different, angles to this whole thing. Some of them having to do with the space trade, but I would throw that right back in with this super micro. They are going to need these servers. So those are the names that I would be looking at more so than I would be super micro.
Well, then let's finish up, Pete, with Palo Alto. And this one was a wild ride because it was down double digits in the pre, folks. PANW, Palo Alto Networks. And then the cybersecurity company's decision to revise down the full year revenue and billings guidance. Well, they said there was softness in the cybersecurity market. So then why did it come off of 254, Pete, just a couple hours ago, and then trade all the way up $11 higher than that right now? Because that's what happened. It just flipped. And they anticipate billings to be 10.1 billion to 10.2, down from almost 11 billion before. But people just wanted this stock. And maybe if you guys look at the chart, you might see why they wanted the stock. I mean, cybersecurity is something that every firm that operates a data center has to have. And some of the companies that Pete and I work with, folks, like QNC, which is Quantum Emotion, that company does quantum random number generating for data centers, as well as wallets and things like that. So in other words, you can't crack it. Anything, if you have a full quantum computer, which if somebody has one right now, please tell us, because they're not really out there yet, but you could break anything with a quantum computer, unless it's a quantum random number generator, because then these two are just fighting and they're not able to get the job done, Pete.
Yeah, this one, John, I think they just might have just ran out of gas on the selling. I mean, the selling did make some sense, especially when the company comes out and they say, hey, look, softness in cybersecurity, it's a big problem, including for us or whatever. So, I mean, they made some statements that you can understand why they were selling off the stock, but they must have hit a level where they just said, you know what, that's as far as this goes. And the buyers started to step in, whoever those buyers were. And it turned this thing around in an amazing way. But it is interesting because they talked about a lot of different things that were very negative, and that's why the stock was getting hammered. But maybe it was just too much, right? I mean, you look over at some of the projections that they had and everything else, maybe it was a little bit overdone, and that was the opportunity for people to say, you know what, it's time to start buying, because that is an amazing thing to see this thing turn this early in the day to start to make that kind of a turn.
Yeah. And I remember yesterday, Pete, we talked a little bit about, the noon swoon and the noon balloon and so forth. And we fought our way back. The Dow fought its way all the way back yesterday. And 1% moves, it's not that big a deal anymore.
No.
Years ago it was. Does it justify a 16 VIX? Yes, because the Dow is moving 1% close to close. But if you look at the ups and downs during the day, Pete, it's trading a lot higher. And that's why we see up to a 22 VIX that you cited earlier, Pete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. We've got another great video for you, folks.
I love it.
We had several, but I think you're really going to like this one. And I suspect Pete likes this one a lot too. So let's look and listen.
Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer's on the
One of my favorite
offense's
players
right,
in football.
but works to the inside to affect yours. I thought JTT on that side may have impacted that throw, but instead it's Jack Sawyer once again getting his hand on a football.
A fourth down touchdown pass in the last quarterfinal round got him here. It's not do or die, but it's close for yours. Pressure comes. Sawyer knocked it out and picks it up. Jack Sawyer headed down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score and dagger from 82 yards.
Look at the coach running down the sidelines as if he doesn't know where to go. It's like that way. That way.
It's the excitement of it all, man. And I'll tell you what, that Sawyer kid was so much fun to watch, John, in his career at Ohio State. Does he have a great 40 time? Without even looking or knowing, I would say no. But does he have an unbelievable takeoff from the outside as an edge rusher, which everybody wants? Yeah. I mean, he's got size, he's got strength, he's got speed. He comes around the corner like nobody. I mean, he stood out during those playoffs for Ohio State in a big way. That guy was a heck of a player. Now, I don't know. In the NFL, he might have gotten walked down on that, picking up that ball, but not in college football. He had just enough. And that right tackle, if I'm the quarterback, am I just wondering what in the hell he was doing?
Yeah.
Because he got whooped, John. He got whooped.
Oh, and it was just a straight run around him.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy must have no feet at all. But anyway, all right.
Size.
Well, what do you got, Pete?
All right, let's start with women's tennis. And I know that sounds strange because it's not an area we normally would go into, but I think it's fair that we do because Serena Williams might be one of the most amazing athletes, male or female, anywhere. And I mean anywhere. I mean, was she the top player in the world for a hell of a long time? Yes. I mean, she was absolutely unbelievable. Well, she retired 4 years ago, John, 2022, U.S. Open. She decided, you know what? It's been a great run. I'm getting a little older, and I can feel it in my body, whatever. And so she steps away from the game. And, yesterday she returned. She had straight set double wins because she was playing doubles. And she's now 44-year-old woman, right? And so she hasn't played at this level in over 1,000 days. And she finished with 2 aces to just close the whole thing up. How great is that? And by the way, 116 miles an hour on the winning shot and 120 on the one before. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who still has it? She's still got it. And she's absolutely amazing. She's got 23 Grand Slam championships. I don't know if there's an athlete out there, male or female, that's even close to what she has been able to do. And here's the interesting part. It sure seems like she's coming back, John. This isn't just like, hey, I've decided to go out here. No, she's been preparing. She's been getting coached. She's been getting back out there and doing things and everything. And this could be the return of Serena Williams. And, man, she's a pretty special player, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. Coco Gauff, also a great player, but obviously decades younger, Pete. I mean, when she was in her 20s, Pete, I think she was playing at around 150, meaning 150 pounds, folks. Almost all muscle. I mean, she was a beast. She had 2 kids, one in 2017, one in 2022. And I think that led to her deciding, as much as anything, Pete, that, hey, it's really tough for me to get back into the shape that I was in when I was playing. But now she's lost 35 pounds on GLP-1s, Pete.
Wow.
And when you're not toting around as much weight as she was toting around in 23 when she retired, like you said, or maybe it was 22, 23. When you're not toting around that extra weight, you all of a sudden feel pretty light-footed.
Yeah.
And you don't tire as well or as quickly. So, yep, great player. I wouldn't bet against her. And if she does come back to singles, Pete, I think she'd still be one of the dominant players.
especially like you said, I mean, the kind of shape that she's in and losing some of the weight that probably it was muscle, but there are times where you got to even lose a little bit of muscle because you got to be able to function and get around the court. And she's an amazing athlete. All right, next up, I got this one for you. What team in the NFL is probably a sleeper that didn't even make the playoffs last year, by the way? So they are a bit of a sleeper. And I'm going to throw out this one to you, John. The Kansas City Chiefs. And here's why. Is Patrick Mahomes still there? Yes. Is the majority of what they really need for the team around? Yes. But one thing that they lacked, and the reason they didn't even make the playoffs last year, John, their very best running back had 300 total yards last year. So they got to be able to establish a little bit of a running game, right? And that I think was addressed almost immediately after the Super Bowl, because as soon as they could, they decided to go after Kenneth Walker III, who was the running back for Seattle, the old Michigan State kid. He is amazing. And he had 1,000 yards last year. He only averaged 4.6 a carry, John. He was the feature running back, and they swapped back and forth. So it just shows you he's not somebody who's beyond the idea of having somebody else out there once in a while as well. But he wants to be the lead running back, and I think he will be. I think the Kansas City Chiefs on that one signing actually puts them in a position where they are at least in the playoffs and maybe even get through a round or two of the playoffs, just because of this one player. Because they had no running game at all. And if you don't have any, even at the NFL, you've got to be able to run the football. It's something the Minnesota Vikings haven't figured out for a long time either. You got to run the football. It helps on the passing. Mahomes will have 1 second longer to be able to throw the football if he has any kind of a running game. And he didn't last year, but I think this year he will. What do you think? Is that crazy?
Nope, it's not crazy. But I'll throw out another one that had an absolutely horrific year. The Kansas City team was only horrific by Kansas City standards.
Yeah.
They weren't horrible. They just had an off year, and it was off by enough in a really strong division.
Right.
I mean, because, there are just some monsters in their division. And like you said, very accurately, if you can't run the damn ball, they're not going to give you any respect. They're just going to come right after Mahomes. Yep. But how about this, Pete? So Cleveland Browns, they get a right tackle from the Texans, pay him big time, like 63 mil. Then they get a guard from the Chargers, pay him 50 mil. Then they get a guard center from the Packers, pay him 24 mil. These numbers adding up for you folks. Then they get Jared Verse, that linebacker that they traded when they acquired him from the Rams for Myles Garrett. Yep. And they get a bunch of picks in 27, first round pick, 28, a second round pick, 29, a third round pick. I think, Pete, that these guys are in a position to really hurt people in their division. Now, all they need is a quarterback, and that is the question mark, I think. Do they have one? A person who, other than having QB after his name, is a QB leader? Because I don't know if they do. I don't know if Shedeur is ready to step into that role still. Mm-hmm. Maybe he is. I mean, when I saw him in Colorado, the kid was great. But you're kind of freelancing a lot in his dad's offense. And the NFL isn't really about freelancing as much as anybody would say, what about Lamar Jackson? I'd say, no, those are planned. Yeah. I mean, that's a plan. He's going to roll, and it's going to be his choice. It's the quarterback's choice. Do you want to run it or do you want to throw it? Right. And if they don't come up to him fast enough, he'll run it. And that's the plan. It's not a freelance. That's the plan. So is Cleveland going to be able to build around a quarterback so that they don't suck at that position as bad as they've sucked? They had like 6 quarterbacks in camp last year, Pete, and none of them were worth a damn. So much so that when Shedeur made it to the Pro Bowl, it's a touch football Pro Bowl. And even that didn't look so good, Pete.
No, you're right, John. And, it's interesting because if you take a look at what they've got at the quarterback position, they've got Deshaun Watson, they've got Shedeur Sanders, Both of which, yeah, I mean, I don't think we're thinking that much. And Deshaun is, when's the last time the guy really did something? Honestly, I mean, and he had all those things. He had a lot of different things going on in his real life. But Dylan Gabriel, they got a kid who someday could be pretty interesting, John. Talon Green. He was that quarterback that you and I talked about. He's a freak show
from Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas kid, and big. He's got all the things that you'd want in a quarterback, but he's pretty raw still. And I think that's the one thing that would hold him back. But I agree with you. I like what they did in the offseason. I like what they did free agent wise, but also in the draft. Do they still maybe need a quarterback? Maybe. Even though they've got 4 or 5, 6, whatever it is, they probably still do. But they are building a really good team. They just still need they still need a quarterback. And I don't know how that's going to play out this fall, but that might take another year.
It might take a little while.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us as usual, folks. We will be back with another Rebels Edge tomorrow. And then Pete and I will be off to New York to entertain a lot of newsletter writers that would like a lot of our insights as part of their newsletters, and a company that we won't be able to tell you about until tomorrow. But it's a company that's really doing an awful lot of good things in the cyber space as well as the crypto space. So we are paid advisors to that company, and we're going to have a fabulous couple days in New York with the team from that company as well as all these newsletter writers. So really looking forward to that. So we'll be seeing you tomorrow at what time, Pete? I forget.
What is it? Is it 10 o'clock, John? Is
No.
it 9 o'clock, John? Is
No.
it 11 o'clock? It's 1 o'clock, John. It's 1.
Too many hits, I think. Too many hits.
1 o'clock Eastern time.
That's right.